Okay, welcome everyone to another episode of the monthly powwow of ProfitMAX Entrepreneurs Network. And today we have a guest whom I'm going to introduce in a little while, but just a little bit of preamble. So we know entrepreneurs are a rare breed, no? And successful entrepreneurs are self-made, full of grit and drive. They have big dreams, audacious goals, a burning desire to succeed, and great determination. So today we're very happy to have Mr. A.K. Wu, founder and chairman of the Master Jaya Group of Companies, to share with us his entrepreneurial journey and inspire us with his insights and his lessons. So A.K. has been in business for 40 years. He started Master Jaya from scratch and built it up to what it is today. And I believe he has passed the reins on to his children, the next generation. And without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Mr. A.K. Wu. Maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself and fill in the gaps that I've left out.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everybody. Very good afternoon. And I must say a very big thank you to Peter and Angela for inviting me to be one of the speakers today. Well, I think I should give a little bit of introduction about myself in order for, I think most of you don't know me yet, except for some old friends like Peter Lam and KP Ng, and perhaps Goh Min Hun. I think we've been together in BNC for quite a while. I'm now 70 years old, so as you can see, old but still looked healthy and strong. I was born in a very, I would say, extremely poor family, extreme poor family in a small town called Port Dickson, not in the town, but rather in the jungle. I call it jungle because it's a very remote and secluded village. Not even a village, it's a really kampong house where your house from your neighbor is probably about 200 meters away. So you have a very small piece of land, you build a small little wooden house there, and there was no water supply, no electricity whatsoever. You had to burn the what they call the carbide lamp, the kerosene lamp, as well as carry water from the well. And my parent used to be a rubber tapper, as well as a farmer, in a small farm. So I was growing up in that kind of, I would say, very hostile environment. I was lucky to have to have some education. Anyway, when I finished my Form 5, that was in the year 1969. That was the May 13 year where we have this our own civil rights. I was not allowed to study further. My parents said, no, you go and work. Started working. You get paid 250 ringgit per month. And I was wondering what I'm going to do with the 250 ringgit for the next 5 years or 10 years. And eventually I insisted that I wanted to continue my study. And because of my, very strong determination, my mother was moved. My mother was touched. And then she said, okay, I will try my best to support you. So she went to Kuala Lumpur. She came up to KL and borrowed 500 ringgit from one of my so-called richer relative. And so 500 ringgit, I think at that time is quite big enough for me to, at least to start. And I managed to get into Singapore Polytechnic to do my mechanical engineering diploma. But when I went there, I realized that, the 500 ringgit was exhausted within 2 months. So I have no money. So what do? I started to give tuition.
And that was back in the day when the ringgit was 1-to-1 to sing, right?
Exactly.
So imagine today it will last you for 2 weeks.
Yeah, 1-to-1, 1 ringgit and 1 Sing dollar is the same.
Yes.
So I have to give tuition in the night, and I have to stop even my study for a while to work part-time in the construction site, in the shipyard and so on as a laborer. And I still remember I was paid 1 ringgit a day, $1 a day, 1 Sing dollar a day. And working for 8 hours, you got paid for 8 ringgit, $8. I work overtime for some time, I got about 10 ringgit per day. So imagine after working for about a month, you get about 300 ringgit, 400 ringgit. And then that's enough for me to pay my tuition fees. And then I continue again. So eventually I managed to finish the study. But in between, I must say that I went through a lot of hardship, almost giving up but I persisted, persevered, and eventually I managed to pass the exam. And I managed to get a job in Singapore. I tried to apply for many jobs in Malaysia. I couldn't get one. My ambition is to become a steam engineer in a palm oil mill, because at that time steam engineer certificate is very, very laku, So, but somehow or other, nobody wanted to take me because we were fresh. And I got the job as a service technician. Paid, I still remember, the pay was 480 ringgit per month. That was, well, to me, is happy. First job, 480 ringgit. I worked there only for about 6 months, and I decided to come back to Malaysia. So I managed to get a job in Bun Siu, the Bun Siu, the Penang Tycoon, the Bun Siu group. Yeah, Honda, very big group. They started a new venture with a Japanese company called NGK Spark Plug. So I was employed as a production engineer in the factory. And the reason I took up the job was because I got an opportunity to be sent to Japan for industrial training for 3 months. So I was very excited. I've never taken a plane before in my whole life. First time to fly in the plane, first time to travel overseas. So I said, I don't care about the pay. I just want to take this opportunity to travel to Japan and stay there for 3 months. So we were lucky. I was picked, and then we were sent to Japan for 3 months, and I came back. I worked for them only for 1 year because a production job is very boring. I did it very well. The Japanese liked me. The Bun Siu's son, the Loka King himself, the son, who was quite a dynamic guy. And he also liked me a lot. He said, no, I don't allow you to go. We will pay you more and things like that. So no. And I was paid 700 ringgit. That was in 1973 or 74. So it's quite a good pay, 700 ringgit in Penang, especially. So, but anyway, I said, I don't see the future here. And my character is not suitable for production. I all along have been a very extrovert person. Like to talk a lot and like to mix around. So I said, maybe this job not suitable for me for the longer term. Then I left and I joined a Chinaman company in KL doing sales. First time, first sales job for me. And it was a terrible company, Chinaman company, no system, nothing whatsoever. But I worked like a dog, And eventually I left them after about a year, I think. And I joined George Ken. George Ken is a big public listed company as a sales and project engineer. And there I learned a lot. I learned a lot about industrial equipment like pumps and fans and incinerators, compressors, and so on and so forth. And I was there for about, I think, almost 2.5 years. And I told to my boss, I said, can you pay me sales commission? George Ken being a British company at that time. They were very conservative. And they said, no, we only pay you fixed salary, bonus, and some benefit. That's all. No sales commission. And I negotiated with my boss. I said, look, I am prepared to pay cut 30%, I said, you cut my pay 30%. I take the job, sales job, on a commission basis. So if I don't sell, I won't get paid, right? So I said, that's fair. If I sell more, your company make more, and you only pay me, I don't know, maybe 1-2% of the sales commission, that's all. But after talking to the managing director, who was a British gentleman at that time, my boss came back to me and said, no, sorry, they don't have such a system in the company. They cannot set a precedent for you alone, So they said, okay, in that case, I will leave. So very reluctantly, I left the company. And I joined another big international Swedish company called Flecht Gedilus. It's part of the ABB group, a very big company worldwide. And I was there, joined there as a sales and project engineer as well. And that is where I ventured into industrial air pollution control. I was the first person to be employed by that company to head start this particular division. So I grew with the company. I did very well. Then I became the division manager. Over the years, I was promoted to be the sales manager, then eventually become the division manager. And the main reason they want to promote me is because they want to reduce my income. Because as a salesman, we were paid very handsomely. I mean, you'll be shocked in the late 70s. My income was more than 100,000.
Wow.
So that's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, Even my
So you're
general
a sales
manager,
superstar.
even my general manager, who is an American, he didn't get the kind of pay. He always tell me, okay, you got more income. Your income is higher than me. I said, that's a difference because you sat in the office, you do nothing, but you just do as an admin manager, although you're GM. But you collect all the data, you collect all our data, you collect our figures, you collect the account, then you send it back to the headquarters in Sweden, right? That's all. You have never gone out to the field. You never went out with me to visit any customer. You don't even know any of our single customers. So I said, I think your job is relatively easy. Yeah. But you don't know how tough it is. So I know. But so he wanted to promote me because he want to cut my commission, but he will increase my salary. So I refused many times, but he said, no, you cannot remain as a salesman all the while. We have to promote you. We want to build you. We want to make you a management staff. So eventually I have no choice but I have to agree. And gradually I went up. But they were very fair. They give me 10% profit sharing of the division, which is quite good. I still my income still maintain around 100K. So which is not too bad. And of course, at the same time, I also developed my management skill. And so I worked with this company for about 7 years. And eventually I decided to venture out on my own because I know that I cannot join any other company. With this kind of salary, nobody will employ me. And at that time, I was not even a qualified engineer. I was just a diploma holder. Although I got many qualified engineers working under me. So, and I said, okay, I think my next step in my career is to venture out on my own. I just want to test myself, in the market. And I said, if I can do it so well for this company, perhaps I can do it for myself. Of course, I'm not too sure, but I was very determined. I said, no, I will just.
What year was that, IK?
That was in 1983. I
Okay.
left. Actually, I wanted to leave in 1980 or 81, but because of the good salary and because of the forthcoming projects that I'm going to get, and that project alone will give me another 30, 40, 50,000 ringgit kind of commission or profit sharing. So I decided not to leave because I said I don't want to forego this good income and good money.
Yes.
But then I say if I keep doing that, then every year I will not go, because the more I think about that project, I will get another 20,000, 40,000, 50,000. Then I will not go. So by then I would be maybe 40 years old. It's too late. So finally in 1983, I decided to break the bridge, and so okay, I think I have to jump in. So I decided to leave. Although my boss refused to let me go, my Swedish boss was very, very angry, and then he even went to the headquarters and came back with a good suggestion. He wanted to form a new company for me and let me lead the company as the managing director. From a manager to be the managing director. He said, no, you went out, you leave this office, you set up your own office, you set up your own operation, and you become the MD of the company. I was quite shocked, with that offer. I said, oh, but finally I told him, I said, boss, whatever it is, I am still not your shareholder. I'm still I'm still working for you anyway, right? So I left. I told him. He was so angry, but he was so kind. Until today, we are still friends, he's probably in his, I think he's about 85 years old now, but he still have to help. So we are still good friends today, until today. And he said,
he's in Sweden?
Sweden. Yes, back to Sweden already.
Okay.
So he said, okay, I just want to tell you one thing. My door is always open. If you want to come back, we welcome you back anytime. I said, boss, I really hope I don't need to come back. Because if I come back, I fail my business, right? So I said, no, I hope I don't have to come back. So I left, and eventually, that's how I started my company called Master Jaya until today.
All
so
right.
that's the basic background.
Yeah, that's very interesting background, no? And thanks for sharing your childhood as well, because many successful people come from a very tough childhood days, no? And how they break through because of their strong mindset, the intelligence, their capability, and their determination and grit and ambition and all that. Okay, so tell us how you got started. How do you start Master Jaya? What were maybe the one or two biggest challenges when you got started, no?
Yeah, because when I first started, first thing is we don't have big capital. I know I put in 50,000. That's all my saving into the bank, and we managed to get a small overdraft facility from Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank, and that one was through one of my good friend, also a Swedish gentleman in Malaysia at that time. He helped me to link up with the Hong Kong Bank and give us a 50,000 ringgit loan, so-called overdraft. So with that, I started my operation. I rented a very small office measuring about, I think 8 feet by 10 feet, if I'm not wrong. The room was around there, with a one small table, with a phone. That time, there was no fax machine yet, And we were using a very old machine called telex. Telex? I don't know.
Yes.
So we're using the telex. So the telex, you need to decode and code all this. I don't know how to use it anyway. So, and that's how I started. And you know what are the challenges? I have got all my competitors except one or two local company. The rest are all international giants. They were big giants. Like ABB is a big giant. My previous company, before I left, they are the biggest. And then I have got the American company, I got a Japanese company, I got a German company. They're all big fellas, So how am I going to fight? I'm alone, one man show. And you know what? My competitors go and tell everybody in the market, you dare to buy from this guy, AKU. It's very dangerous, because he only have a small room, one table, and he can just close shop next day. He will just fly by night, that kind of company.
Take your order and say bye-bye.
Take your down payment and close shop and go, So better think 3 times. so that's a big challenge for me to really sell my products and so on. But I was lucky enough. That I have some hardcore, strong supporters with me. I mean, before I ventured out on my own, I did some survey in the market. What I do is I visited all my customers and I asked them whether they will support me. I can tell you very frankly, for those who want to venture out on their own, better do this. They 50% said no, directly on your face. Okay, I'm sorry. When you start on your own, you are such a small company, and these are all big capital equipment. I think it's difficult for me to support you. I mean, let's be frank, because if anything go wrong, I don't know where to look, where to hunt you around. So at the time, there was no mobile phone whatsoever on him. So, and then you have nobody, you have no service technician, you don't have a factory, you have nothing, you have one table, that's all, So 50% said no. Of course, I don't get angry with them. I said, okay, I understand your situation. Well, I think it's fair. I hope like in the future you can still give me a chance. And I went to talk to others again about maybe about 35-40%. They're on the fence, They were sitting on the fence. They yeah, maybe yes or no. Let's see how. Let's see when you started. Let's see how. Maybe can discuss, can talk. I think when they say that, you can discount them off. That means they will not support you. They just like to be. They just want to be more diplomatic. Want to be more diplomatic to you. They don't want to reject you outrightly. So I also know that these people will not support me either. But there's about 10% of your customers who say yes. They are the buddy, we call it the buddy. They say, okay, I will support you all the way. That's enough. Of the 100%, 90% almost say no. The 10% yes is enough. So what you do, I focused on this 10%. When I first started, I just went to them, go with them every day, once in a while, go for lunch, chit-chat, maybe at that time, no inquiry for me, no business yet, but I still continue to build my relationship with them. And I had my breakthrough, and a customer gave me a good order. I remember the first order I had was 80,000 ringgit. 80,000 ringgit, I can make 25%. That is about what? About almost 20,000, right?
Yeah.
About 20,000.
Yeah.
And that can last me for how many months, Because at that time, when I came out on my own, I cut my salary by more than half. I cannot expect to get 100,000 anymore. So I said, I give myself every month 3,000 ringgit. 3,000 ringgit, the salary, 3,000. 1983, So
Okay.
then I said, oh, I think with 80,000, if I make 25%, they can last me about almost 6 months, right?
Yes.
So I'm assured that my company will survive.
Okay.
That's how I manage my company, right? Every order I get, I start to calculate the profit, my expenses. This one can cover me another 2 months, another 3 months. And then gradually I build up, because you need reference installation. I mean, anywhere you go, even though you have a lot of experience behind you, they say, okay, this is not
Okay.
your job. This job were your previous company's technology, not your technology.
Yes.
And you have no reference under your name, your company, Master Jaya. You don't have any reference. So it's very difficult for me to talk to my boss to give you the order. So that's why we need to have more orders to build our reference installation. I mean,
Yep.
references, right?
Okay.
So, and build up slowly, and then
So
gradually
what was the breakthrough moment when you scaled up, KK?
Yeah, the breakthrough is when the real breakthrough, because these are all small orders, not big orders. The real breakthrough is when I managed to get a product agency line from a very big, one of the world best steel plant or rolling mill manufacturing company in Sweden. They came to me and said they're looking for agent in Malaysia. Are you interested? So through some connection with my Swedish friends, they recommended this company, and they came to Malaysia, and then they were having 3 companies in mind. One was my previous company. One was I think at that time it was called Time Engineering, quite a big, it's a public listed company, and one more is a Singapore company having an operation in Malaysia. That's mine is the small ikan bilis company. So when the 2 Swedish men came to my office, he said, okay, where's your office? I said, this is my office. He saw my the room, my table. I cannot even give him 2 chairs in the room because the room is so small. I said, sorry, I need to open the door so they can sit next to the door. So, and he said, okay. He came for about 1 hour. After that, he said, okay, we need to visit another 2 more companies before we make any final decision. And he left and then went to visit the other 2, 3 companies. But 3 or 4 days later, he came back again. He said, I said, oh, you did not, you're still in Malaysia. I said, yeah, we have planned to stay for 1 week. He said, okay, we have visited the other companies. We have not decided yet, but are you able to help us to do something while we are still here? I said, what do you want me to do? I would like you to make some appointment for me to visit some steel plant in Malaysia. Would you be able to do that? When do you want to go? He said, we can go tomorrow. Oh my God, I said, such a short notice. Okay, I try. So I make a call to Malaiwata. The time it was called Malaiwata, now it's called Anju. And then I call up another one is M Steel in Klang at the time. So I managed to get an appointment for Malaiwata. I said, okay, you're lucky. I managed to speak to the works manager and my good friend. He said, okay, tomorrow you can come up. Even my friend asked me, okay, who are these fellows? I said, they are this Swedish company. I said, but he is very good. He said, are you the agent? So no, I'm not. I don't know yet because they are trying to look for an agent. And then he said, why you want to waste your time? And then just oblige them. So the next day, I drove up together with 2 of them to Penang, and we met up with the works manager. But from the very moment I arrived at the factory and the reception office, they realized that I knew almost everybody in the plant. Almost everyone, I went, hello, okay, I do like that, So all this, he realized that the kind of warm reception I had from my old customer, and until we reached the works manager's office, then we sat down and talked, chit chat. Then my friend asked him, okay, I think your equipment, we know your company, we know your technology is very advanced, but you don't have any agent in Malaysia, right? So how are you going to service? How are you going to service us? We buy the equipment from you. And then he said, yeah, we are still looking for an agent. Then you know my friend. Actually, to be frank, I have not even asked my friend to say anything about me, But this friend of mine told him, you don't waste time with anybody else. Just ask Mr. A.K. Wu to be your agent. He is the best.
Wow.
Yeah, imagine
What a
that.
strong
I was
endorsement,
shocked.
man.
I
Yeah.
was shocked. I said, no. I said, I think to be fair to them, they have to make their own judgment and evaluation. That's fair, right? I mean, but my friend said, keep saying, telling them that, no, he's the best because I trust him and he can give me good service. So anyway, we had a nice visit, and he even brought us to see the plant, the operation, the production operation. Then we came back the same day, and next day we went to M Steel. Again, I went in. I know almost everybody, from the reception to the secretary to the production manager to the rolling mill manager to the purchasing manager. Almost everybody. I just poke my eyes, know into the room. Hey, hello, friend. Hello. Everybody know me. So after that, we came back to my office the following day. The following morning, he came back. He opened his bag. He brought the contract, the agreement, the agency agreement. He said, "Okay, can you sign this agreement?" I said, "Oh my God, you mean you brought along the agreement as well?" Yeah, we were ready. We were only waiting to appoint which particular company to be our agent, and we have now decided to appoint you as our agent. I was quite shocked.
Hey.
Yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised. Oh my God. I said, "You're sure you can trust me? I mean, I'm one-man show and I only have one table here. That's all I have." I said, no. We realized because I said, "You tell me the reason, the true reason." He said, "Yes. We went to the other two companies. We were given very bad treatment by the company." I said, "What do you mean by that?" Because the manager did not see us. Neither the general manager was still the managing director. They asked a very junior guy, a very junior young man who got no bloody experience to meet us in a small meeting room, just to entertain us for a while. So he knew that this company is not interested in him, or
Too
they
big,
think,
too big. They were too big.
yeah, maybe they thought these two guys came here to waste my time. So that's why they were of course they felt very bad that they were given such a bad treatment, no hospitality whatsoever. And then similarly, the other company as well. The other company, they didn't even manage to meet anybody, They said, "Oh, sorry, we're all very busy. We couldn't see you." So I was the only one, a small little China man, treating him very well, brought him everywhere for dinner, for lunch, and, they feel very comfortable. I even brought them to my house, I think that time will happen to be a Chinese New Year. So I asked him to join my Chinese New Year party as well. So they felt very warm, they felt very well received. So, okay. So they say I signed the contract,
All right.
and I became the agent.
Which principal was this, AK?
It's called, last time, the name was called Morgan Sharma in Sweden. It's a Morgan Sharma company.
Okay.
It's a small town in Sweden. I listened to them many times. They are the best, one of the best rolling mill manufacturer in the world. Very high technology.
Okay.
And within 6 months, I managed to get a job, get a good contract. That was really my breakthrough. A big contract amounting to about, I think, almost 18 million ringgit.
Wow.
Oh, that was a real big breakthrough, and I got very good commission, of course. If I don't get the order, I probably would have been heartbroken, because I had to go to Singapore to stay in Singapore for almost 2 weeks. They stay in those 5-star hotel. I have no choice. I have to, just have to stay with them. I have to pay all my bill, and then also sometimes buy them dinner and drinks and so on. And the reason why we have to go down to Singapore is because Southern Steel happened to be the Net Steel Singapore. I call it National Steel Singapore last time.
Yeah.
Net Steel Singapore happened to be their technical advisor, and all the technical discussion meetings were conducted in Singapore at that time. And we had to meet up with the technical manager, the rolling mill manager, the whole technical team there to present our case and so on. So we had to be there in and out every day. And we had to fight against the Italian, the German, they were all these big international rolling mill manufacturers.
Yeah.
And eventually we were very lucky. We got the order. And of course, my Swedish man was very happy. He said, "You are the first agent in the world who managed to get our first big order in 6 months. You break the record time, Most agents
Alright.
take about 2 or 3 years. I took only 6 months.
Okay.
But it was also timing, because
Alright.
Southern Sea at that time happened to want to start a new wire rod mill.
Mm.
So we got an order, and not only that, we also got some good steel fabrication contract and so on.
Okay.
So then I got this good order, and then I don't tell you how much I made. Made enough to buy a 5-acre land, 5-acre
Wow.
industrial land. And I
Okay.
built a factory. I built a big fabrication steel fabrication factory with this money. So that is my real breakthrough. And then
Is that the factory? Is that the factory in Nilai, or is that the factory in
No, Nilai.
Malakong?
Malakong
Nilai,
is Malakong. I already got that Malakong at that time. I think I haven't got it yet. I think I also built Malakong. Then later on, I built a big factory in
Okay.
Nilai.
Okay. All right.
So all my competitors never dare to badmouth me anymore, because they cannot. Because I'm bigger than they. I'm already bigger. I already exceeded their level, their scale already.
Okay. Okay.
So
All
they
right.
cannot go and tell people that this
Okay.
fella fly by night.
Okay.
I have my own factory.
All right. Okay, AK.
Sorry.
There's some entrepreneurs who start from scratch, like in their 20s. No, they never worked for anyone. They started from scratch, and some like you came up after working with some years of experience with multinational companies and all that. What would you say are some advantages, pros and cons of having worked with the corporate sector for a few years before starting on your own? And
Yes.
also, were there any downsides to that?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I have been working for most of the company I work for are quite big companies. Like even the Bunsiu one, although it's not a very big factory, but also they have the joint venture with the biggest spark plug manufacturer in Japan, which is called NGK, which
Yes,
at
yes.
the time was very popular, very famous. They're the
Yes,
biggest
NGK, spark plug,
with
yeah.
the spark plug for motor car, motorbike, and so on. And they were located in Nagoya as a HQ. So I learned a lot from the Japanese people, the Japanese way of management. They're very military style. I was forced to learn Japanese because my other bosses were all Japanese. So I had no choice but to speak to them in Japanese and so on. So that I learned a lot about what they call discipline, about the rules and regulations, standard operating procedures. They were very strict on that. So I think that is something that is drilled into me, which is very good.
Yeah.
Then when I joined George Can, they have very good system, very, very good system. Everything is very systematic, logic, very methodical. Everything is well arranged, very disciplined. So, and it's good, easy to work in that kind of environment. Whereas when I work for the Swedish company, I was given a lot of freedom. That is one thing good about it. They don't care about what you do. They set a target. Okay, you are supposed to make every year. I want you to make 500,000 ringgit for me. That's the target. I want your division to make 500,000 every year. They have many divisions, So every division manager is responsible for the overall operation and the profitability of that division. In fact, when we were running this division, we were actually like running our own company, because you can hire and fire. You can plan your own trip. For example, I went overseas. I don't even need to get approval from my GM. I just I tell my secretary, book the air ticket, and then I just tell my boss, hey, I'm leaving for Sweden. Then I go. I'm now going to America, go to Italy. Just tell them what you want to do there, and that's it. So as long as within your budget, because we are the one who control the cost, the expenses, and also manage the income, the revenue and so on. So that's the one thing we learned, which is very good. And of course, the other thing is why I dare to start is because first of all, I have a lot of knowledge in this particular field. I have knowledge, I have the skills, practical skill. Because I'm very hands-on man with the project, with the design, with the system, with the equipment, and so on. And secondly, I know the customer very well. When I was doing sales in my big Swedish company, my personal relationship with the customers are excellent, real excellent. Meaning to say, we are like brothers, like friends, real good friends. I always take up hobbies when I know that this guy like to play tennis. I will learn tennis. Yeah, hey, Peter, come on, can I invite you for a round of tennis? And then I took up squash because at the time squash was quite popular. I was still young, 30 years. So I play squash, even though I'm not good, but still I can play with them, right? And then finally I learned golf because I know a lot of business people like to play golf. So I went to pick up golf. And then, of course, a lot of these factory engineers, they like to drink in the pub. That time pub was very popular, pub and nightclub, So I become a drinker. You know? Every day I go and drink in the pub and get to know those engineers. So that's how I built my relationship and rapport with these people.
Okay.
Because of that, I think it gave me a very good start because I know that
Mm,
I know the people, I have the
mm,
know-how, I know the market,
mm.
and therefore I dare to go in because
Yep.
it's a very specialized field.
Yep.
You know,
Okay.
so
So if I can summarize, okay, I mean, you make it sound very easy, like it's a bed of roses, but actually there were a lot of things involved. And one of the things was the exposure that you had while working for all these multinationals, whether it was Japanese, British, or even the Scandinavian, Swedish companies. And you took the best from them. And plus your personal charisma, your personality, your ability to connect with people, all this combined, I guess, led to where you are now. And I think over the course of the last 40 years, you would have seen a couple of, how shall I call it, economic crises, whether it was the Asian financial crisis or the dot-com bubble or whatever you want to call it, so many crises. So how have you been able to navigate through those situations, or how were you able to plan through those and get through that
yeah,
volatile periods and all that? Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, because when I started in 1983, I think I must have gone through at least 3 or 4 economic crises. You know? I
Mm,
mean, recession, financial crisis, and so on and so forth. There are many crises, but
yeah.
I was very, very fortunate and lucky that I managed to go through all. Although I was also suffering during the real big crisis or during the 1997, 98, or 99, the Asian financial crisis. So much so that my business was very badly affected. Supply chain was affected. And then, of course, my cash flow was bad, very bad, because I couldn't collect enough money from the customers. And my suppliers were chasing me like hell. And eventually, and the banks are chasing me. That's a problem because I have a low bank loan that time. You know, imagine you need to build a factory, it costs you a couple of million. You know, I have my big office in Belakong, I have my big factory in Nilai, you know. So I said, okay, we have to sell the Belakong factory, Belakong office, and then we only move everybody to Nilai. But unfortunately, nobody want to buy my office in what do you call it, in Nilai, Belakong. The market price at that time for my office was about 4.5 million. And, the agent said, cannot sell at lower. I said, okay, you tell me what price. Then finally he said, can you sell at about 3.8? I said, can, no problem. I was on nobody on buy. Finally went down to 3 million. I said, okay, sell, no worry. I went out, cut loss, never mind. Eventually, one fellow offered me 2.8 million. Huh? I said, okay, take, no worry, take. It's okay. But when his partner came and looked at my office, he said, oh, your ceiling height is too low, lah. The container cannot go inside, lah. All kinds of bloody excuses. So I said, hey, what else you want? 4.0 million, 4.5 million drop to 2.5, almost half price, Now you want to give me all this bloody jazz, lah. So eventually, sorry, Mr. This building not suitable for us. I said, okay, lah. So we didn't sell. But our cash flow is a problem, So I said, what do we do? So finally, as a businessman, you have to be flexible in order to save the situation. I said, okay, let's decide. We sell the factory in Nilai. The 5-acre one I told you. I managed to sell. You know whom I sell to? I sell to our Ministry of Domestic Affairs. Domestic trade, non-domestic trade. They wanted a big space, big land to store all the goods that they confiscated from those slot machine those smuggled car whatever. So they need a big storage place. So I managed to sell to them at about, I think, close to about 4 around 4 million or 4.5 million. I make about 1 million to be frank. Even though the price was very bad, during good time I would easily have sold for about 6 million. I sold for 4 million. I made 1 million. So what I did, I paid off everything. I paid off the bank loan. I paid off all my creditors. I'm totally clean. I am free from any liability. I have no debt whatsoever. I mean, no debt, no what they call outstanding payment to all my suppliers, my customers. I mean, my what they call suppliers and so on. And every revenue, every dollar that I make now is my own, because you don't have to pay the bank loan anymore. Because the bank loan is quite substantive. At that time, I need to pay about I think about 30,000, 30 or 35,000 a month. It's quite a lot of money. So I was so happy, you know. And then we moved back, all back to Blakong. Then we still managed to do our production on the ground floor, which is very small, you know, only about 10,000 square feet. But still, we managed to do it, and we subcontract 70% out. We only make 30%. You know, but after a few years, the economy gained back, and I went back to Nilai and looked for another piece of land. And I was lucky, you know, the price was still the same. When we sold our first factory, it was 12 ringgit per square foot. When I bought back this new factory, I bought a smaller one. Inside, I bought about 2 acres. It's still 12 ringgit. After 5 years, they never went up. But for user, it's very good. So immediately we bought the land and built a new factory, and then we moved to the
So
new
I
factory.
learned something. If you want to buy a factory, go to Nilai.
Yeah.
Good value.
But now the price has gone up. Now it's not
Yeah.
12 ringgit. No, the price there is almost 80 ringgit.
Wow.
So I also make a lot of money from the property.
Okay, great. Okay, excellent.
So that was one of the big challenges.
We got a couple of minutes left. I just wanted to ask you, because you have now more or less passed the business over to your children, no, to your next generation. And I know it didn't happen overnight. You know, it took a lot of years and all that. How did you plan for it? How did you groom them? And how did you finally let go, or in the process of letting go? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, okay, thank you. I have planned this right from the very beginning when they were about to finish their secondary school. I was trying to decide for them what courses they should take up. I have this in mind, that is, I want them to take all my business already at that time, you know. So my eldest daughter wanted to do medicine. She wanted to become a child specialist. And I said, no, I don't want you to become a doctor. But that was a dream, you know, from young, even from her childhood days. She wanted to become a doctor. And I said, no, doctor is no good, you know. I was a bit selfish, because I want her to become an engineer. So then I told my mother, you know, her grandmother. I told my mother, Mom, you want to convince her. Then my mother, very good. My mother is a very sweet talker. She told her granddaughter, hey, granddaughter, don't become a doctor. You know, every day you see blood. Then you accompany the corpse, you know, the dead body. You're there. This is a job I better don't take up. You know. So I also told her, I said, hey, look, you want to become a doctor, number one, you shouldn't have money making money. You know, you don't think about making money. This is a community service. You have to serve. You have to service. You have to make sure that you have become a real good doctor to serve the people, not to make money. That's the first thing you must have in mind. And I said, you want to make money, you have to become a businessman. I don't mean to say doctor cannot be rich. Of course, the specialists are all very rich, right? But still, you know. So eventually, you know, my eldest daughter was very rebellious. She eventually said, okay, I want to study, what do you call it? You know, they want to study those old stone, you know what do you call it?
Anthropology, archaeology.
Archaeology, you're right.
Archaeologists.
She told me she wanted to study archaeology, you know. I said, what the hell is archaeology we do with this? At least you say you want to become a doctor, so it's okay, but when you study archaeology, then my
influenced by Indiana Jones, eh?
No, she purposely want to go against me. That's why she purposely choose something. And then my wife told me, because you made your daughter so angry, she got fed up with you. She simply said anything. Then after that, she said, you want to study music. I said, why you want to study all this thing? Finally, I got fed up. I said, okay, choose whatever you like. No matter. But I was so lucky. Eventually, she told her mother, okay, I think I will listen to the father. I will go and study engineering. And I said, what do you want to study? I said, I want to study mechanical engineering. Wow, like mine, you know. So, good. But she got one condition, I must study in England. Oh, I said, bought England that time, the pound was almost 7 ringgit, you know. I said, why don't you go to Australia? I have one university for you, very good university, you know, University of Western Australia in Perth. Beautiful place. And same time zone, 4 hours flight. Yeah, 4 hours away, 4 hours flight only. Same time zone, good weather, you know. But she said, no, I only want to study in England. Oh my God. So finally, my wife said, hey, what else you want? You want to study engineering, she already agreed. Now she got one condition, you cannot comply. Hey, what kind of father are you? So finally, I said, okay. So I went, let her study. I was happy, she did very well. She studied in the University of Sheffield. She got a first class honors in mechanical engineering.
Wow, first class honors. I don't play.
First class.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
she was the only lady in the whole course to get first class. Together with a few, 2 or 3 other men.
So after that, the next 2 or 3 kids was easy, convincing them, is it?
No, the second daughter very easy because she just follow. Oh, my sister do engineering. I also want to do engineering.
Okay.
Then I said, okay, you don't do mechanical. I want you to do chemical engineering. So she managed to get into Sheffield, but I said, no, don't study in Sheffield because I have all this plan. I said, you study in Sheffield, both of you are in the same alumni. Then your spread, your networking is limited. So I want you to study in a different university so that you have different network. Then you can exchange, right? So I said, why don't you apply other universities? So she managed to get into the University of Birmingham. And Birmingham University is very famous for chemical engineering. So I said, okay, you did. So she did her chemical engineering there.
All right.
Which is good.
Number
then
3?
Also, my son also did mechanical engineering. She did his engineering in USA, which is okay.
All right.
And then my youngest daughter, I said, we have 3 engineers in the family, is more than enough. I want business study.
Finance.
So I asked her to study finance and account, and she did ACCA. And she did very well. She completed a full ACCA before she reached 21.
Wow.
Before her 21st birthday, she shouted and said, I passed my ACCA final exam.
Okay. All right. Great.
So it's good. And okay, how I built them is because, and when they were young in the secondary school, I always want them to work in my office during her school holiday, so that they are exposed to the business environment. I mean, even though they may start to do some photocopy, filing, make some phone call, become a receptionist or whatever. So she is exposed to our kind of business environment. And I think that's how she got interested. My eldest daughter, when she came back, she worked for Sandabi Group, a big group, one of the Sandabi subsidiary, quite a big company. But she didn't like the job because she said there's nothing much for her to learn. She's a very fast learner. After about 7-8 months, she said, I don't want to work anymore. So she got another offer as an R&D engineer. So I said, you want to become R&D? Then you every day talk to the machine only. R&D is a very dry job. So very good pay, a big company. But also she got an offer from some consulting company, consulting engineers company. But finally, she came back and told me that, hey, father, can I work for you? That was what I wanted to hear.
All right, man.
So I said, I was pretending. I said, hey, are you sure you want to work for me? You want to work for me, can, but there are many conditions, You can comply, all my terms and conditions. I write them one by one, and for you go through first. If you say okay, then you can come and join me. If not, then you go and work outside. I was lucky. She said okay. She said okay.
All right.
So that's how she got started. Then my second daughter better still, because she graduated from Birmingham. She came back. I said, better go and look for a job. She said, no need to look lah. I work for Master Jaya. So she straight away worked for me. She just rested for 2 weeks. Come back. I said, I'll give you 2 weeks holiday. And then 2 weeks later, she started working in my company.
Okay.
And same with my son. Son also. He said, hey, my 2 sisters also work for you. I also want to work for you. So 3 of them join me. But they are good and bad. Actually, my plan is to let them work outside for about 2 or 3 years before they came back.
Yes.
But since they made up their mind.
So only 3 out of the 4 kids were with you?
The fourth one is accountant. She also worked for me on 3 occasions, but she left after 6 months. Left. Then 2-3 years later, she came back again. 3-4 months later, left again. Then final draw was when she wanted to do her MBA. She wanted to do it in England. That 1 year MBA, study in the University of Strathclyde, cost me 200,000. My condition is, I said, you come back and work bonded in Master Jaya, but unfortunately, I had no written bond. That's a verbal only. She agreed. She agreed. Then after she graduated and came back and worked for us, 3 months later, she submitted her resignation letter. I was very angry. The mother was even more angry. So Anyway, we have no choice. She said your company is too small for me. She used to work for big companies. She used to work for, BAT, British American Tobacco.
Okay.
She worked for this big what do you call, German giant, what is the German company, the very big one, the industrial company. What is the German company? Very big one in Malaysia also.
Siemens.
Sorry, what company? German?
Siemens.
big-
Siemens. Is
Huh?
it Siemens?
Siemens?
Siemens, yeah, right, Siemens. She worked for Siemens, right? Siemens, a big company, as you know. Siemens. She worked for BP, British Petroleum.
Yes, yes,
Those are all big companies.
yes,
So and she worked for Tanjong PLC, this Ananda Krishna's company.
yes, yes.
So these are all huge giants. So
Okay.
when she came back to Master Jaya, she said, oh my God, you are only talking about 20, 30, 40, or maybe maximum 40, 50 million. People are talking 40, 50, 10, but maybe a few billion, right? They're talking billion or billion, not billion, right? So, as an accountant, she thought that, it's just a small company. So, but now she's still working outside. It's okay. She has her own.
Okay. All right.
I
Great.
think that's how she get admitted. And of course, as years go by, I train them from scratch, because they have to start from rank and file. Even though they are the children of the boss, I told them that you had to work from the lowest rank. They started working in the factory first. Learn how to make the product.
Okay.
Go and work together with the welder and so on. And then slowly I train them to go to the site, work at the site, become a site supervisor, and then really treat them to technical design, and then finally they only go into what they call marketing, and eventually sales.
All right. Okay, great. So that's a great some insights and lessons there, and a lot of interesting stories. So AK, in 30 seconds, what would be one or two pieces of advice that you would have for business people, especially during these challenging pandemic times? So what would be one or two pieces of advice you would give to business people?
To business people, I think I don't much advice. I'm sure they have their own strategies, their own thinking. But for those who are planning to venture into business, who are thinking or contemplating of going to business, maybe they have a little advice for them.
Yeah.
I think the first thing is, you must know yourself very well. Don't simply jump into the bandwagon, because I've seen many of my friends who jump into business and fail. They will fail. They fail very miserably, simply because they went into something that they are not familiar with. They went into a territory which is not familiar to them. So I said, and also they don't even know themselves well. I said, you must analyze yourself, your character, your disposition, your personality. Are you really fit for business or not? Because to be a businessman is not so simple. So I said, first thing is your own character. Are you a sociable type? Are you very open-minded? Are you able to mix with people? Are you able to build rapport and relationship with the customer, or even with all the stakeholders, including your staff, the banker, the authorities, and so on and so forth. I think that's the first thing you must analyze. Second thing is you have to use your own know-how. What is your skill? What is your specialty? Do you know everything about this particular trade? Just like you want to go into computer. Are you really a computer expert? Do you know everything about computer? So I think that's important, because you don't know, you depend on people, then I think eventually you meet up with a lot of obstacles. So you must know the know-how, the skill, the knowledge, and of course, more important to me is know who. Not only know what, know who. You know who, it means you know who are the people who can support you, in your business. Who are your customers, right? Who are your customers? Can you name me 10 of your buddies who can say, live or die, I will support you. If you can name 10 people, then you can go and start. But you say, I'm not too sure. I need to go and explore. Then I think you have to start to think way better.
All right. Okay.
So I think these are the few things I think you should think about.
Okay, that's great. That's great advice, AK. So on that note, I'd like to thank you very much for sharing your vast experience, your rich knowledge, and being generous in your sharing all the lessons and insights. Thanks a lot. Stay
Thank
for a
you.
while.
Welcome.
We'll open for Q&A in a short while.
Yeah, okay.